A new infinite combo is getting a lot of attention prior to a major regional championship, leading players to believe they can simply draw out games and steal a free win, as well as raising the question, does a player have to pick a detrimental choice in an infinite loop or not? Let's jump into it and find out. So the combo in question is the Amalia Wildgrowth Walker combo. At DreamHack Atlanta on the final day, the deck accounted for nearly 15% of the meta, making it the most played deck of the final day. The combo is quite simple and can go off as early as turn 3. Wait a second, didn't we just have this problem? On turn 1, you cast Lunarch Veteran. On turn 2, you cast Amalia, gain a life, explore, and on turn 3, you cast Wildgrowth Walker, gain a life, and effectively go infinite. You explore again with Amalia, which triggers Wildgrowth Walker, which gains you a life, which triggers Amalia, and you repeat this process until Amalia hits 20 power, at which point she destroys all other creatures and clears the way for a likely lethal swing. Thanks to Amalia destroying all other creatures, she breaks the loop by herself. But what if Wildgrowth Walker was indestructible? The Amalia combo decks are naturally playing protection spells like Tamiyo's Safekeeping to protect either of their two main combo pieces. But if Wildgrowth Walker is made to be indestructible, as Amalia is comboing, before she hits 20 power, the loop cannot be broken unless the opponent is able to remove Amalia from the board. Which means the combo player can simply reveal a non-land card on top of their library and just perpetually leave it there, gain infinite life, and draw out the game. Or can they? Okay, that's the last time I'm doing that bit. In Magic the Gathering, there's technically no such thing as infinite, and what we actually need to know about is two different types of loops. Loops caused by players' actions, or lack thereof, and loops caused by players' choices. Let's take a look at these two different examples. Let's say we have an Emery, Lurker of the Lock, Paradox Engine, and a Mox Amber in play. And we have another Mox Amber in the graveyard. We activate Emery to allow us to cast Mox Amber from the graveyard. We cast it for 0 mana. The Paradox Engine triggers, allowing us to untap Emery. Mox Amber resolves. The legendary rule kicks in, and we send one of the Mox Ambers to the graveyard. And of course, we can now repeat this loop indefinitely. The next example we need to look at is this interesting interaction between Garruk Relentless, the double-faced Planeswalker, and Spark Double. If we have Garruk Relentless in play, clone it with Spark Double, and with the Spark Double Garruk, and use his 0-cost Planeswalker ability targeting a 2/2 Wolf token, the Wolf would deal 2 damage to Spark Double Garruk, which would trigger his flip ability. However, single-faced clones of transform cards cannot transform, so assuming no player has any Planeswalker removal or damage spells, this ability would trigger perpetually. Now, if we turn to section 4.4 of the Magic the Gathering tournament rules, it tells us exactly how to handle infinite loops. Effectively, for any loop, both you and your opponent have to choose a specific number of times you'll go through the loop, at which point the player who chose the lowest number of iterations will receive priority and get a chance to intervene. Or, in the Emery example, the players would agree on how many times the loop is going to be performed and then continue playing the game, taking a different action. Loops where an individual player actively takes actions like optionally casting spells or activating an ability to perpetuate the loop cannot be used to draw out a game. In the Garruk Spark Double example, however, players must choose a number of times the loop will occur before they decide to intervene and break the loop. If both players wish to take no actions, or they simply can't, the game will end in a draw. This is because no player is maintaining the loop, no players are taking actions to trigger the loop, the game state is triggering it by itself, and the players have no other choice. Now this brings us back to the indestructible Wildgrowth Walker Amalia loop. Let's say we're past the 20 power point and we've left a non-land card on top of our deck. Can we simply just leave it there, constantly reveal it, and simply draw out the game? Now first of all, why would a player want to do this? Well, to simply draw out a game and potentially run out the round clock so they can win the round if they've already won the first game. Secondly, because this is a trigger that keeps on occurring, choosing to mill the card would eventually leave the player to reveal their whole deck to their opponent and pass on otherwise hidden information. So what's the outcome here? It's important to understand a couple of things here. Firstly, in competitive Magic, you often hear the words best of 3 thrown about when talking about the types of matches you'll play in a tournament. This is technically incorrect, as it implies you'll be playing a maximum of 3 games. Again, if we turn to the tournament rules, we can look to section 2.1 for the answer. A Magic match consists of a series of games that are played until one side has won a set number of games, usually 2. Drawn games do not count towards this goal. If the round ends before a player has won the required number of games, the winner of the match is the player who's won the most games at that point. If both players have equal game wins, the match is a draw. So this means a player must win 2 games in order to win a round. You simply can't win the first game and then draw out the next 2 for a round win. Okay, so drawing a game isn't really advantageous for the combo player here. The loop can be demonstrated and the players can quickly move on to the next game if they have no interaction. So what about that revealing/milling part? Does the Amalia Combo player need to reveal their whole deck? Well, if they're attempting to draw out the game, they do, but then this leaves them wide open for a massive counter-attack. One of the last paragraphs of the tournament rules section on loops states this: some loops are sustained by choices rather than actions. In these cases, the above rules may be applied, with the player making a different choice rather than ceasing to take an action. The game moves to the point where the player makes that choice. If the choice involves hidden information, a judge may be needed to determine whether any choice is available that will not continue the loop. So all this means is that no, a player cannot just simply reveal the top card of their deck over and over again to attempt to get a draw. They have to pick a certain number of times they're going to do that, and then choose an alternative option, which in this case is putting the card into the graveyard. This loop will repeat until the combo player has no cards left in their deck, and here's the interesting part. If neither player has a way to interact with this combo, the game will end in a draw. But if the combo player's opponent has a way to remove the Amalia, they're now facing down a player with an empty library who's going to lose the game on their next draw step because they don't have any cards left to draw. So now you know how to handle infinite loops in Magic the Gathering. Be sure to leave a like if you learned something. Now if you fancy taking a deck like this for a spin in Commander, you should check out Bathroom Brew's Abzan Explore Commander video. So what do you think about this combo? Is this another powerful Ixalan card that needs to be banned? Or do you think this combo is a lot easier to stop and interact with than the previous combos we've seen? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.